What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson. Yet again, another week. We've made it through. Yay! My week was pretty awesome. Pretty busy, but I made it. One piece, right mind, ready to see you guys again. Starting a little bit late today, but had a few technical difficulties, but we adapt and we overcome. So tonight we have a treat. We I always I love every interview. I love every interview that I've done up to this point. But it is always a special treat when you have somebody on that you have personal relationship with, that comes from the same place as you, that has seen some of the same things that you've seen. And so and when you're able to talk about things and they know what you mean and they know what you're talking about because they're experiencing the same thing. And so with that being said, tonight is one of those nights, and so I'm excited to sit down with two of my sisters, um, Miss Tasha Curry and Miss Tarsha Givens. Um, Palaca, stand up. Florida, stand up. Um, we're gonna talk about a few different things. We're not just gonna sit on one thing. We're just gonna kind of relax on tonight and just talk and just express some things. I'm gonna put some things out there and we just gonna bounce some things off the wall. You get what I'm saying? Um, for those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Tasha or Miss Tarsha, I'm going to give them each the opportunity to kind of reintroduce themselves and give a little background on what they have going on right now. So,
Okay.
you got the floor.
Okay. Well, as he stated, my name is Tasha Curry. I'm originally from Palaca, Florida. Um, I am a mom of four. Um, I I'm currently starting to do financial literacy. So that's one of my new endeavors that I'm doing. My gift and that God has given me is the gift of encouragement. And so that's one of the biggest reasons that I'm on here tonight to be in support of my friend Tarsha in her endeavors. And she's going to say a little bit more about that. So share a little bit more about that. And hey, thank you for joining the podcast tonight. Go
Awesome.
ahead.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tarsha, and I am a servant. That's pretty much a good way to sum up who I am. I'm a servant of God, servant of Jesus Christ. I'm excited to be here. I'm a wife of 25 years and a mom of 5 kids. My primary job is to take care of my family. That keeps me pretty busy. I'm also an wedding and event planner, and I also work in financial services, help with financial planning. I'm excited to share, a new ministry that I just started. It's called Be Forever Blessed Ministries right here in Palatka. And this is definitely a walk of faith. I'm trusting and believing God to do what only He can do.
Right. That's awesome. Okay, so we're gonna bounce around a little bit. Um, let's start off with the financial literacy. I know that both of you are in the education phase, and you haven't gotten all the certifications that you are aspiring to get. But I want to ask you, why is it important to be financially literate?
Oh, wow. One of the biggest things, it affects every area of your life, as well as your children's life and, the type of inheritance you give them. Um, just being able to move about um, in a manner that is going to be beneficial to you and your family. So it's a lot of things that we do not learn when we're young as it relates to money and finances. And with us, we're a lot of times share information in our culture in regards to financial literacy, investing, saving properly to be able to do things that we need to do. So I'm excited about this new venture as it relates to teaching others about financial literacy. I'm still learning a lot of information, but it's just so much we don't share. And the stuff that we do, like I said, we do learn, we keep it to ourselves. And therefore, we don't move up as fast as other cultures as it relates to that. And education is the key. Go ahead, Tasha.
I totally agree with you. Can I have that question again?
My question was, why is it important to be financially literate?
Okay. I totally agree with Tarsha, and that's a very, very good question. It's very important to be financially literate because a lot of times we just don't know what we just don't know. And, we don't know, a lot of times we don't know our options, what's out there for us, how to make our money work on our behalf. A lot of times we get caught up in the credit card trap and all those things that are actually waiting for us. And it's like because of that lack of knowledge, and of course the Bible says, my people perish because of the lack of knowledge. We're waiting. The wolves are waiting for us. So when we're like coming out of high school and, eager to get on our own, and if we've had no financial, literacy or just basic budget, knowledge, I'm not talking about like a degree or anything like that, just basic money sense, knowing how to budget, knowing that, okay, of course you pay your bills and, pay your tithes and offering, the things that are most important. But, we live in a microwave world now. And a lot of times people don't believe in the concept of layaway, like basically saving money to purchase something. People want what they want and they want it now. And they're willing to put their family's future on the line just to look good or keep up with the Joneses. So to me, all of this financial literacy goes back to being a good steward because we're all going to have to give an account to God on how, how we've handled everything that He's entrusted us with. And that's not just financial, that's, our family, our time management, everything. So financial literacy to me is so important because finances touches every part of our lives. If you want to, go to college, or if you want to buy a home, or you really can't do nothing without money.
Right.
So I think to me, it's the key. And I think a lot of times we shy away from, money because, sometimes we're a little shy about things we just don't know about. But all in all, it's to empower us and to empower our children. If they know how to handle money wisely, then they can make better decisions for their future and learn how to sacrifice.
All right. You said a mouthful right there.
Yeah.
I feel like um, we we equate a lot of things to like systematic, like racism and things of that nature. Um, do you feel like stereotypes and racism and the way we've been brought up as people of color, does that how big of a role does that play in how we do and how we spend our money and how we use our money? You know what I mean? Like you brought up a good point, Tarsha, about how we keep up with the Joneses and we try to look fresh and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cultural though. I think that's cultural.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that's do you I'm posing this question to both of you.
Mm-hmm.
How much does black culture play in us not spending and investing and saving the money that the way that we should? How much does culture play a role?
I I think it has a lot because we model the behaviors of our parents as well as others around us. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, culturally, that's the thing. We want to look good. you know. And we have, if our culture has emphasis on that, looking good, as opposed to making sure you have an adequate reserve account in case emergency happens, and then in another account, another savings in place, whereas in, that's what you don't mess with, really mess with, but you have an emergency savings. But, we're just, a lot of us, it is culturally, I think it's passed down where we see it. And I think it also comes down to, a lot of times we've not had money, or seen other people with, or or have had access to money. So when we get it, unfortunately, we use it in a manner to make us look like we have money, not in a way to invest and, try to and grow from that, as well as look ahead to retirement, because that day is going to come. And then, God forbid, you need long-term care and something of that nature. That's a whole nother ballpark.
That's a very good question. I personally think, sometimes we are a product of our environment. And of course, a lot of things that we see, like on TV, you see a lot of famous people, and, sometimes we allow those influences, to rule us. But to me, looking back and going way back in time, it's like, I remember, learning how, you would put on your Sunday best. And I think with racism and things of that nature, I think a lot of times, even we as people of color, even though we may have dressed our best and, tried to, be our best, we may not have always been treated that way. And I think, I personally believe sometimes we're like sort of stuck in that a little bit, like we're always trying to look good on the outside versus
Yeah.
having a good foundation. As far as me personally, I like to make sure I got food on my table, like my basic
That's
needs taken care of. I can shop at Goodwill, not because I have to, because I
thrift
like
stores.
I like saving money and
Yeah.
having more money in my pocket. I'm not a person
Yeah.
into like name brand stuff. As long as I'm fresh and clean and looking cute, hey, if I can get that for a
That's right.
discounted price, and I can dress it up and make it look really nice, then to me personally, I get excited knowing that, hey, I only spent $2 on them shoes. And
Right.
somebody else, they might be excited that they spent almost 100 or 200 on a pair of shoes. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking I can do a lot with $100 or $200.
Yeah.
So to me it just
We
has
love
to
a thrift store find.
yeah. To me, it just has to do with like your environment, and of course, what you're allowing to influence you. For the most
Yeah.
part, when I mention about like, looking back at our history as a people, I sort of feel like a lot of times we're trying to prove, no, I can't speak for everyone, but I sort of feel
Yeah.
that a lot of times we're trying to prove that we have arrived or that we're okay. But underneath all of that, it's
Hmm.
like, no, there's some work that needs to be done, because if you're not paying your bills and if you don't have food on your
Yeah.
table, but you're dressing, all out, but your kids are not
Right.
taken care of, your house is not taken care of, to me, it's like living a lie. So, I mean, it really is. It's
Yes.
and I would
Yeah.
rather have peace knowing that, hey, my kids are fed. We may not have money to go out
Hmm.
tonight and entertain or do whatever, but hey, we can have movie night at home. We can get
Right.
popcorn. And, we can create fun activities. So I guess I can go on and on with this question, but I also want to touch
Yeah.
base on the fact that financial literacy is not just a cultural thing. It's even people who have money that don't know the basic of how to manage money. I mean,
Right.
unfortunately,
Right.
there are a lot of people have good jobs and they make a lot of money, but the question is, what are they doing with that money? Are they
Right.
spending every dime they get plus what they don't have? So they're putting themselves in even more, debt. So
Mhm.
financial literacy to
Yeah.
me is a lot deeper, and it's something that we as a people, of course, we've been behind the ball when it comes down to investing in things of that nature. But to me, the new thing to do is to be up and up, to know that, hey, I can leave wealth for my children's children, and even the Bible teaches us to do that. So if I'm spending every
Hmm.
dime of my God, I'm not thinking about the future, and I'm not thinking about my children's children, which is definitely not how we're supposed to live.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I bring that up too because I bring the whole culture thing up because I'll speak for myself, and then too, there's a gender. I believe that there's a gender aspect to it too because just practically speaking, from my experience, women can women can go to Rainbow or Cato's
Wait a minute.
or Walmart or Target and pick up a cute outfit and put it on and be fresh for under $20.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I cannot go to some of these places and dress the way that I would desire to dress and still be able to feel feel good about myself.
Right.
And you know what, I grew up in a place, I grew up in New York, and that was a part of the uniform. You had to have a certain you had to have a certain sneaker, you had to have a certain hat, you had to have a certain jacket, all those things,
Mm-hmm.
or else
Mm-hmm.
your day was going to be hell. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it and that's just how it is. And so that's why I say, like, culturally, like you guys mainly grew up in the South,
Mm-hmm.
and so from the time that went there, because I went to Palaca, I got to Palaca in the 10th grade. So from the 10th grade until I graduated, I was there, and so it was a lot different than it is where I'm from or whatever. So that's why I think that there's a lot of different aspects. You got the gender aspect, and then you got the cultural aspect, because being a black man, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean.
Hmm.
Yeah.
See, they
I think that
have
we
the thrift store for you, Mike. The thrift
Yeah.
store. That's your place. I promise you.
listen,
All name brand of big variety.
Mm-hmm.
But by
listen.
you saying, like you were saying, in New York, you're right in the mecca of fashion. So I'm
Yes.
sure the pressure was even harder for you being young.
Ex- exactly. There's a mental aspect to it too. I believe, Tarsha,
Mm-hmm.
that that makes it hard to be
Hmm.
to be be frugal and practical about
Um,
certain things. I got to a point where, and I was talking to Tasha yesterday, kind of offline, and I was telling her that I went through a phase where, especially when I started making my own money, that I was just buying
Mm-hmm.
sneakers. Like, if I could take my camera to my closet right now,
mhm,
y'all would probably like shake y'all heads like, what is wrong with you? But but when I was young, like a lot younger, I was just buying and buying and buying sneaks, mainly sneakers and
mhm,
clothes or whatever. But it got to a point where I realized that I was actually shopping so that I could look good while I'm shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I realized that I was
Wow.
just shopping so that I could look fresh while I'm shopping.
Mm-hmm.
It was really for
Okay.
no really real reason other than my mentality.
Yeah.
But how I say all that to ask, how much does your mental health play in financial literacy? Is there a mental, do you believe that there's a mental barrier that you gotta kind of break through to be able to say, okay, instead of spending this $100 on some sneakers, I'm gonna I'm gonna invest it in something else, or I'm gonna put it in some type of account, or whatever. Do you think that for us there's some type of mental barrier that has to be overcome before we can actually get to the point where we're actually disciplined enough to save the type of money and look for the future and everything like that?
I think, well, it's something me and Tasha were talking about earlier that she had brought up, the whole aspect of tithing and,
Hmm.
and finding out the principles to money as it relates to God and what he desires for our lives. We shouldn't be wasteful. We shouldn't mismanage. We're going to have to give an account for everything that he's given us that we've, you know, how we've managed that. And that includes our finances and how we've taken care of things of that nature. So that's one, and then of course, um I guess I'm kind of going around, but that's one of the basic things. You definitely want to have Christ leading you in regards to what you should do in regards to your finances, as well as educate yourself. Mental health wise, you're gonna be going crazy if you can't pay your bills. The average person, you're gonna have some issues.
Right.
You're gonna be stressed. So you want to definitely make sure that you pay the stuff that you need to pay so that you can live, at least comfortable and decent and not be worried about things. And we all had overcome things. I've had situations, divorce, just, also making just bad choices, a few times with things, but also I've made good choices. So, it's always a learning thing. And as in regards to dressing and making sure that you're clothed, because we're talking about the whole thing of the appearance. I'm a firm believer in you look good, you feel good.
Hmm.
But like Tasha was saying, it don't take all of that. We think it takes take all. Well, some of us think it take all of that. Cause I'm like her. I'm not no name brand person. You got to tell me what stuff is. I've had stuff where people have given me things and they're like, "Oh, well, you got that." I'm like, I don't know what that is. It just looked good to me, so hey, it works for me. But the whole thing of mental health, you do want to make sure you take care of yourself to look good so that you're feeling good, but you also want to stay and live within your means, because that's definitely going to affect your mental health if you're not able to take care of what your responsibilities. That's not a good feeling. And or having to get help from others because you cannot take care of your responsibilities. It's one thing when you have situations that you can't control, but then it's a difference when you have stuff, whereas and you just made some bad decisions.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That's a good question.
Tasha?
I definitely believe that mental is tied to it because, like you said, Tarsha, Tasha, when you look good, you feel good, So I definitely believe that we should look good, but at what cost? Is it costing me,
Mm,
my paycheck to get, whatever it is I want to get to where I can't take care of my responsibilities? And I feel like ultimately, depending on our moods, like some people like to eat, when they might be feeling a little down. Some people like to shop and spend money, that might be their thing. But ultimately, it just boils down to, discipline and choice. Like we have to have a good image about ourselves, regardless of what's on us or what we're wearing. It starts inside, like our self image. And I was just telling my husband, my confidence comes from God, like in Christ. Like
mm,
I have some issues, some stuff. I'm 45, just not getting braces, trying to fix these teeth that's been something that has sort of like haunted me all a good part of my life growing up. Kids calling, "Ooh, you got gap tooth, master 2000," and it's like I had to learn and get to a point where it's like, do I let that define who I am? Even like my feet,
right.
I don't have the cutest feet in the world, but guess what? They work, and I thank God for that. So it's like
That's right.
I had to learn to get over some of these things, like
Yeah.
my teeth, cricket teeth. So it's like, am I gonna let that define me? And it's like, you know what? God has helped me overcome those things. A lot of times we focus on like the flaws in our lives or, the things that we could fix if we could. And it's like, you know what, our lives are so much bigger than that. And it's like,
Right.
I smile more, even though I'm not all the way there, but it's like, there's people worse off than me as far as they might have teeth missing or whatever to where they definitely want to smile. But ultimately, I think
Yeah.
our mental mindset, the way we think about ourselves, has a lot to do with the way we spend our money. And it's like, it may be
Yeah.
something, personal, something in your background or, something that you're just not willing to deal with, and it makes you want to go spend money to just get that gratification at that moment. But in spending more money, it's like the person could be getting themselves in a deeper, financial
Hole,
situation.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like a quick fix, but ultimately it's like something that has to ultimately be addressed. And we just have to make the decision that, hey, do I want better in my life? Do I want peace of mind when I lay down at night and I have to worry about bill collectors
Right.
calling me, hounding me because, I didn't take care of things that I could have taken care of. And,
That's
something
right.
that 2008 hit hard. I don't know if anybody remember 2008 when the market crashed, but it affected me and my family. And, we saw some hard times, but we were able to get through. But ultimately, here we are again, this last year with COVID. I would have never guessed I would be living through a pandemic. But all in all, I can say that, we haven't missed a beat, thank God, we've been able to continue and not be without work and things of that nature. But it's been a lot of people that has been affected by jobs being furloughed or just, hey, shut down altogether to where they couldn't even go back to work. And so I think about it like this. It's like, okay, well, God has blessed me to be a blessing, because it's like, it bothers me sometimes to know that, I'm okay, but what about the next person? So it's like I have a responsibility to be responsible, because everything that God has given to me, it ain't just for me. And I think,
Right.
this takes growth, of course, because we all selfish, by nature. But it's like that bothers me, to know that what somebody else is going on, I'm okay, my family's okay, but something inside makes me want to be more aware and do something to help somebody else. Because it's like, what good is it that I'm over here, we good, but then if you know someone who's suffering and they're going without, it's like, as a Christian, that should bother us, or move us to want to do something. So I guess I went all around the world, but definitely mental. It has to do, I think, with our self-image and how we see ourselves, which of course, the best way to see ourselves is the way Christ sees us, the way God sees us.
That's right.
Absolutely. To your point, you brought up a great point about self-image.
Yeah.
Self-image really has dictates um, some of our behaviors. And I was joking with Tasha yesterday about how women have a certain level of influence and power that men don't have. Like as men, if we're speaking truthfully,
Mm-hmm.
the majority of the things that we do, from the way we wear our hair to the clothes that we wear to the cars that we drive to the jobs that we make slash the money that I mean the jobs that we work slash the money that we make, um how long we do we if we exercise and stay in the gym, these are things that are meant to get your attention as
Mm-hmm.
women. You know what I'm saying? If you ask, like, if like myself, like I speak for myself, I was telling Tasha, like, I can like maybe count on one hand, like maybe two times, maybe three times, where a woman actually approached me. You know what I'm saying? I believe that that's probably true for most men. But flip side, you guys as women, you probably get approached two, three, 4, 5 times daily. So that tells you that you have options. You have the option of, excuse me, turning this person down or turning that person down or saying what you want versus what you don't want, and this and that and the third. And that translates what we were talking about, like our outer appearance, what we dress, what we spend our money on or whatever. Because why would I go buy a pair of Chuck Taylors when I know that you guys like dudes in Jordans? So I'm gonna go get me some J's because that's what's
Some
gonna help
people.
me. That's what's gonna help me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna. I mean, no offense to anybody who wears Chucks. What? That's your thing. That's your thing.
No,
That's
you
not
done
my
said
thing.
it now.
But yeah. I mean, you know. But my point in being is that you guys, like the point I made earlier about how you guys can go to like Cato and all these, these stores or whatever and buy cute outfits or whatever and be okay because you know that no matter what, you're going to get approached. You guys got options. And so with that being said, us as men, we have added pressure because a lot of women out there, not necessarily my company included, but a lot of women out there, they're checking. Like I was listening to the radio today, and they pose the question to people: what is the first thing you look at when you meet a person that you're interested in? You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's added pressure, and it will mess with you mentally. But I'm not gonna
Not
go off on that
mentally.
tangent. That's a whole nother subject altogether. Well, I'm gonna push that off to the side. I got my own thoughts on that. But we gonna we gonna move away from the financial part for a minute, and we're gonna talk about community activism and ministry. Tasha, you when you were talking earlier, you were saying that you had started a ministry. Can you give us a little background? Tell us a little bit about your ministry and what it's geared towards, and what your goals are as far as that.
Well, I know a lot of people been asking, a few people, like, is it a church? It's not a church. And to sum it all up, we've all been called as Christians to minister. And that's like everywhere we go, and especially at home. I feel like ministry starts at home, like with our loved ones. A lot of times I can say, a lot of times we treat people outside our family, like co-workers and everything. We treat them better than we treat the people at home. So to me,
Mm.
this is for me, for me and everyone else. Ministry starts at home, and not only that, to be able to go out and serve the community and help others. It's like, okay, well, what you doing in your own house? So I started this ministry because out of obedience, I feel like it's something God had laid on my heart, for a while to do. And initially, when he mentioned it to me, like starting a nonprofit. Ultimately, that's what I would like to do. But it's like I was like no, because I felt inadequate. Like I felt like, well, just making up all these excuses. Like Moses, like, well, God, this and that. And it's like I was like no, and I felt like it was, I guess, too hard for me. But it's like, being a Christian overall, what we do, like when we're encouraging someone or just sharing or ministering or uplifting somebody in the word, that's ministering. And I think a lot of times
Yeah.
in our minds or in my mind, maybe I was trying to make things like too hard or too difficult. So ultimately, I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of being disobedient, rebellious, or whatever you want to call it. I want to be all that God wants me to be. And I got to just line up. I can't wait for perfect circumstances and perfect things in life to line up and be like, okay, this is a good time. No. So even in COVID and whatever else is going on in life, it's like, you know what? I'm just stepping out in faith. So it's a walk of faith, and I'm excited because it's like, I'm excited to see what God is going to do, because I ain't going to sit here and lie. Part of me, sometimes I'm shaking in my boots thinking, okay, well, when am I to do this? And then all in all, it's like, okay, just step out in faith. Let God be God, and let me just be obedient to
Yes.
what I'm supposed to do. He'll open up doors. And even like when you mentioned, message me about doing this, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, God, is this is this you? Like, are you opening up a door, to share about the ministry? But Be Forever Blessed Ministry is a ministry about encouraging and uplifting and just ministering to people. And it's like, it's not about like a blessing, like tangible things. It's not about like stuff. It's great to be able to, feed people or give them whatever their needs, are. But ultimately, Be Forever Blessed Ministry is about the ultimate blessing, which is to have an eternal blessing with God. And that's to be in eternity with Him. So when this is all said and done and over with, I definitely want to be forever blessed, because I want to be with God, my maker. I want to be with Him. So it's like, it's nice to bless people with things and
Rose.
stuff. But ultimately, what I want to bless people with which we all should do. And I've been shy at times. I used to be, more so sharing and all that. And I'll share when I feel led to. But it's like I used to be, my mom always said I was bold. I walk around the house like whatever because I didn't know. I just felt confident and I was okay. But in Christ, my confidence is like I can do anything. I believe he said, we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. But when we're in our own strength, then we'll talk ourselves out of all kinds of stuff. But if we rely on him, and that's what I'm doing, I'm totally relying on him for this ministry. I feel like even with the Mother's Day event, I'm stepping out in faith and I'm trusting God and I'm believing him to provide everything that we need to be a blessing to a mom. Because I'm like, we've been in this COVID thing for a while now and I have 5 children. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I know what it's like to need a break. So I know there's other moms out there who just need, hey, a time to just refresh, to be encouraged, to be around other women, and of course it's going to be outside, and just have that moment to just, because I remember I was Tarsha Howard I was Tarsha Howard before I became a wife and before I became a mother. And sometimes I think we lose sight of that, like who we are.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we are supposed to find out what our purpose is in Christ and to live that out in this life. It would be a sad thing to live and not know, okay, well, God, what is it why you created me? What's my purpose? And not live that out. So I don't know when he gonna call me home, but I'm trying to do all I can do while I got breath in my body because this COVID around here,
That's right.
it's taking people out. And I'm like, well, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out doing what thus says the Lord.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
And that's an interesting, this interesting point. Like, I tell people all the time, never before in history, in my lifetime, have have I seen more of a need to stand on whatever it is that you stand on. This is the most important time that you need whatever you stand for, you need to be clear on it at this point. Never before in my life have I ever felt like it was more important to pick a side, so to speak, than I've seen right now. You have whatever it is that you stand for, you have to be clear about it in this season or in this dispensation of time. Um, do you do you how let me I'm trying to say how do I ask this? Um, how conscious are you? And this question is from Tasha. How conscious are you? And this is going to sound like a weird question, but how conscious are you that you're black doing what you're doing? Does it matter that you're black, or do you feel like you would be doing this if you were Asian or white or Hispanic or whatever? So I guess in other words, are you a minister that just happens to be black, or are you a black minister?
Hmm, that's a good question. I guess I'll just have to pull that cover all off because when we pull this all off, we all the same. I just believe that regardless of how I was born or what I was born to be as far as color or race, just having a relationship with God, I think that's where things are birthed, like, just walking and talking with God and finding out what he wants in our lives. I I can't really say if I'm answering your question correctly, but I just think ultimately just having that relationship, which it doesn't matter what your race or your color is, just having that relationship. I believe God will, if he's leading and guiding us, he'll show us, what it is that he has for us to do.
I guess my question is, um, do you ever feel like it's important to do what you're doing, especially now? Do you think that it's additionally more important to do what you're doing now because you're a woman of color, or is this something that you would have always done no matter what? Is there a special is there a special thinking in your mind? Do you ever think to yourself, I'm a black woman doing this, or
Mhm.
you're just thinking strictly as a servant, or providing a service to people?
Yeah, I would say strictly as a servant, because I just, I guess I don't focus so much on my color. I mean, I know I'm a black woman here and I love being black. I'm really, thank God of who I am. But regardless of whatever color I was born, I just think it just boils down to, a relationship with Christ. If I wasn't black, I'm sure I'd be doing this. I feel bad that I waited so long. Here I am, I'm 45. And I mean, of course, I had a family and things of that nature, to take care of. But for the most part, I feel bad that I've wasted so much time, but everything happens for a reason. But for the most part, there's so
It
much
went
more
out, Tyson.
that I could possibly have
Tyson,
done,
it went
before
out.
now. Had
It
I
went
not been
out.
caught up in my own self, my, just life, things or whatever. But for the most part, I believe this is who I am, regardless of my color. I know we just had a vice president, she's, African woman of color. But I don't believe that I'm influenced by that, I guess, stream of things. This is something I've always wanted to do for the most part, and I've always done it. I guess even from being a child, always just giving and helping people. I love to give. Um, I may not have a whole lot, but I get a kick out of giving, and I believe in the word God said it's better to give to receive and to actually live that thing, because I really believe it's something that God has taught me to do, just giving. And even with my kids, I try to show and teach them that, it is really better to give. And my son was just sharing, I think a couple of weeks ago, he gave something to a teacher or something like that. And I asked him, I said, well, how did you feel when you gave it to him or her? And he was like he felt like awesome. And it's like, yeah, it does feel good to receive stuff. But to me, it feels it really is a blessing in being able to give and bless someone else. So I guess everybody has their different gifts, and I think this is part of my gift of giving and just being an encourager. It may not always be physical gifts, but I just believe that's my calling, or that's what is in my heart from God to do.
Yeah. So in this past year and a half, going on 2 years, we've seen pandemics, like you said. We've seen um, racial injustice. We've seen police brutality. We've seen um, crazy stuff happening with the presidency, to the point where we had a president who
Hmm.
was refusing to leave office. All these different things, right?
Hmm.
Like, for instance, okay, let's talk about racial injustice, right?
Hmm.
Does it hit different in the South? Do you feel like, does it with the history of slavery and the civil rights movement and all the things that had happened and stuff, particularly in the stuff that started in the South, and all that, now in modern times, um does it does it do you feel like it's different in the South than it is other places, when you see these instances of, like, the George Floyd situation, and some of these other situations? Does it hit different in the South?
I don't know about regions, but I just know it just ultimately it hurts regardless of, I guess, the
Mm,
location. Of course, being in the South, I've only been in New York maybe, once in my life, but
mhm,
to me here, it seems like racism is here, and I don't think it's just at any region or part of the US. It's a personal thing. People are or they are not racist, it's their
mhm,
choice. But I think it's something, unfortunately, as a child, I was made aware of, and unfortunately, even as an adult, I still see and experience. But it
mhm.
to me it hurt. If I lived in New York, it would still hurt. if I live down, here in Florida, it still hurts. I remember what happened with George Floyd. It's like going to work. It's like everybody was silent and quiet, and nobody was saying much. And I think I might have been the one, two African Americans worked there, and then I think we had two Hispanic people. Everybody else was Caucasians, and it's like nobody said anything. And my body, even though I was trying not to focus on what had happened, I could feel it all in my body. I wasn't like my normal self. As much as I tried to be upbeat, and it just did something to me that day, and I could feel it. I couldn't even shake it off, no matter how much I tried to focus on work or whatever. It was just, it was a lot. So to me, racism is here. I mean, it's here. One thing I can say I saw through this is that the people you thought were your friends or were not racist, oh, that stuff came out based on just some of the things that they posted on Facebook or just interacting. I remember passing somebody that I know, saw him in the grocery store, and I went to speak, and it's like they didn't see me. And it's like before all of this, we would normally speak in passing. They were on occasion, and I'm thinking, it seemed like everybody's on edge and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't want to fall into that, because I don't care who you are, and if if you are a Christian, you're a human being. You're a human being. But if you allow yourself to soak up all this hate and this racism and all this stuff, it can take a toll on you. You be looking at people sideways too. I remember being in
Right.
grocery store, even with COVID and all of this, people are like afraid to give each other eye contact to just speak. If I go down the aisle and I see somebody on there, I normally like hello, or throw my hand up or whatever. I don't even have to know them. But I noticed I felt a lot of, I guess, tension and uneasiness or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. To me, my goal was to not allow those things to overcome me. I ain't gonna sit here and say I didn't struggle through all of this and it didn't make me feel, bad in some kind of way. I had to rise above that and know that regardless of what another person is doing, I'm responsible for my reaction and how I treat people. If somebody's want to treat me bad or call me racist names or whatever, I'm still responsible how I respond or how I react. So ultimately, I can give them power by reacting in a way that could have me locked up, or I could, learn to have self-control and realize that, hey, this is the world we live in. And unfortunately, hatred is here. Unfortunately, it's here. Um,
Tasha, we were just talking about um, everything that is a lot of the things that have happened in this past year and a half, 2 years, with the racial injustice and government and the pandemic and the whole nine. And I asked Tarsha when, in particular, like the George Floyd thing happened and Ahmaud Arbery's and these things happen. Does it feel different in the South? That do you think that it kind of it's different in the South as far as how people move around? One thing I did notice when like maybe the first week that I was in Palaca, um, strangers would say hello, how you doing, give you a hug. If they knew your parents or whatever, they're very friendly. And I just was not used to that. You don't talk to people that you don't know. You don't speak to people that you don't know. But the people were very engaging and very willing to get into your space. You know what I mean? So like from that point to now, particularly being in the South, do you feel like it's a little bit different? Like the atmosphere is and the energy is a little bit different in the South than it would be in other places because of the history. Your mic is muted. You got
Okay, there we go. I'm sorry about that, and I apologize for my technical. Now I'm having technical difficulties. But I think absolutely, just from what you were saying in regards to us, how we're so, in regards to hospitality, um, and we come together. So anything I think in the South with us that something in the North, it may not be as intense. I think we're more intense in the South. And it's because, what we were the last states to be, you know, free. So that's one of the things. But what was your question again? I want to make sure I answer it
Oh,
completely.
my question was like, do you feel, do you think that it feels different, that the atmosphere is different, or that it hits a little bit harder in the South than it would in other places because of the history of the South, with slavery and civil rights movements and things of that nature? Because those ghosts are still there in various forms.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel like when you see a George Floyd situation or things like that, do you think that hits different in the South than it would in other places because of the overall racial history of the South?
I think possibly. I haven't, lived in the northern states to see you know, how intense it is for them with racism. But from what I hear, that it's not as bad as it is in the South. That's what I hear. And when people come from up north and they come and they go through Georgia and they're getting stopped for all types of crazy reasons, and they're learning, oh, I don't need to stop in Georgia, I don't need to stop in Alabama for a long time, periods of time. You hear things of that nature. So just hearing things from other people, it that must probably the situation that is we're more affected by it here, but then also we see and we hear about more, because more, I would say more maybe happens in the northern state. It seems that, even with stuff that's on the news, it's mainly southern states normally that things happen, um, that we learn about really quickly. So I would say maybe yes because of that. But I mean, this skin color, no matter what state you in, it's following you. You got it. So
Right. Wow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. You can't you can't unblack yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
right.
So um, I'm gonna we're gonna move to a little lighter subject. You guys don't have to answer these questions if you don't want to.
Oh
But
boy.
I've had I've had a few people from Palaca on the show, and I have asked them this question, and up to this point, everybody has been a good sport. Shout out to Lisa McClendon. Shout out to Tori Conley. Shout out to Larry Miles. Shout out to Rashonda Phillips. Um, if I'm forgetting, I might be forgetting some other people, but I asked this question and they kind of were like good sports. So I'm gonna ask you guys and see. All right, when you were in school, was there somebody that you had a major crush on, but you never got a chance to to let them know or have any dealings with them? If you did, who was
I'll never tell.
it?
All right,
Good
Tasha.
answer, Tasha.
I can understand day
I
I was
mean,
cool, but you know, we were kids, so I guess I was the type of person
oh my
who
God.
I didn't want to approach a guy, so I would never say anything to him. So hey,
So who was it?
This what we do in life. This what we do in the night.
Yep, yep, yep.
well, I'd rather not say 'cause I wouldn't want anybody to be upset. But we grown and older now, so
Yeah. Mike, you're talking to two women who were in relationships that led to marriage. Now, I'm not married anymore,
Mhm.
so that everyone knows. But you're talking to two women who were in, majority of our high school years in a relationship. So I don't know if we can answer like maybe other people answered.
A cr- that's fine, but a crush is different. Like I could
Mhm.
see if I'm not asking if you were in love with anybody was, but if what I'm saying, I'm just saying was there a crush? Did you have a crush on anyone? I mean, you don't
That
have to
we didn't
answer. You
reveal
don't
to
have to
them.
answer, but that's just something, yeah, that you never had a relationship with them. You never had any dealings with them, but you kind of liked them,
No.
that for whatever reason.
Either I
No.
revealed my crush to, that I revealed it myself to them, or either one of my friends revealed it to them. So I don't think I have any unturned rocks.
Oh man, I really believe that you guys are holding back, but that's cool though. I get it. I understand. I understand completely. Um, I had I had Tori asked me. She was the first person. She was like, "Well, who did you?" And I was like, and it kind of caught me off guard. Nobody ever asked me that before. Um, um, and I thought about that thing for a minute. Uh,
Like you're making us think.
um, but see, unlike the two of you guys, I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna be a little vulnerable tonight.
Mhm.
Okay, so crushes. Lisa, I definitely had a crush on her at one point. Um, uh, Amy Hood. Um,
What?
yeah, Amy Hood. Um, who else?
No, I said what because I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, Amy Hood. Remember
Yeah,
Amy
I
Hood?
didn't hear what you said initially. She was a sweetheart. I remember her from middle school all the way up. Sweetest
Yeah.
sweetheart.
Um, who else? It's one more person that I'm forgetting. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. But those those two at the front are at the forefront of my mind. I had big crushes on them, but I never had any dealings with them. I never like expressed it or nothing like that. Um,
You could have told Lisa when we was in the what was it? What was the club we were in with Mr. Aaron Robinson? You could have told Lisa then we was always together.
Peaceful.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
PCAC.
Huh? Say that again.
PCAC. PCAC.
Yeah,
That's what Tasha
yeah,
said. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But for whatever reason, I guess I chickened out. Um, Yeah, I for lack of better words, yeah, I just kind of chickened out. But I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question for me. That's I'm still gonna have to give that some thought. I may have to go through the yearbook again. but but yeah. Anyway, we moving right along. Um, Tasha, back to a little more about your ministry.
Mhm.
Um, what services do you provide through your ministry?
Well, the ministry is new and up and coming. One of the main things is just I'm wanting to focus on women and children right now, but I don't want to
Mhm,
limit myself, so I don't want to just lock myself in. I want to be, you know, I want to be able to minister or help anybody that needs help. So for the most part, I am kicking this off with the Mother's Day brunch, which is, of course, the time to refresh, which is pretty much just a
mhm,
time for women to get together and be encouraged in the Lord and just have time away from, responsibility as far as husband and children. Just have that me time or girl time. So, and the next thing that I'm planning to do is a scholarship to a senior this year. So, it's sad, unfortunately. I went to, I guess, a scholarship award ceremony a few years back. And to me, it was a reminder of maybe like my award night. Basically, you see the same old people getting their scholarships. And it's not that there's not other qualified students that work their butts off and all that, but it's like you just see the same old, same old. So I feel like, we need to step up and give out more scholarships overall. And this one that I'm working on, I'll probably share a little bit more on it later. But for the most part, it's not a typical scholarship. It's not all about academics. This one
mhm,
is more so about a heart of a servant. So
Yeah.
it's something that you have to be nominated for or
mhm,
recommended for. And so it's not something you can go and apply for yourself. This is something that people who know you, who recommend you,
mhm,
and they would, maybe write a letter of recommendation, whether it be maybe a faculty teacher or your peer or someone from the community. So basically, you will have to be recommended for this one, and you won't know you got it until you've been announced that you got
Yeah, okay,
it.
that's
Um,
interesting.
Hopefully the goal is to recognize people that are, they're behind the scenes, they're constantly loving on others, giving. They're not looking for pats on the back, they're not trying to toot their own horn or boast. But at the same time, I feel like those people are critical. Those people are the ones that are probably, really touching and saving lives. Not saying that nobody else is, but I feel like they need to be honored. So
Yeah.
that's the basis of that scholarship
Mhm,
that I want to give away on behalf of the Forever Blessed Ministries, because I just want to recognize somebody who has a heart of a servant and who puts, others above themselves as far as, loving and serving on others. So I want to recognize somebody like that.
that's awesome. That is awesome. Okay. Um, see, you guys were nervous about the time, right? We are three. Not only did we make it to an hour, we are 3 minutes over an hour.
Mhm.
I see that.
This will probably be my last question for the night.
Mhm.
This is a question that I ask all my guests. And when I ask you, I just want you to take a minute and think about it for a second, and then just give the most honest and transparent answer that you can give. Okay, and this question is for both of you. Okay,
Okay.
since the dynamic is different now, Tarsha, you're gonna answer first, and then Tasha's gonna answer. Okay. Um, here's the question: what would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success mean? What does success look like or mean to you? What is success to you?
Hmm. That's a good question. I
For you
guess
specifically.
success for me is knowing that my family is okay, and not just financially, but spiritually, knowing that they have a relationship with Jesus Christ, that if something were to happen to them, I ain't got to worry about where they're going, or, I know without a shadow of doubt that they have a relationship with God. They walk with God. They are led by God. They is sold out for for God. To me, that's success, because it's like we here on this earth, we see each other, but ultimately, I like to see my loved ones and family members in heaven. To me, that's success. 'Cause it's like the Bible says, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?" To me, ultimately, I mean, that's me personally. I'm not a material thing, person that's into stuff. But to me, that makes me, I can do cartwheels for stuff like that. That's what makes me excited to know that they're okay. I ain't got to worry about, even just dealing with life situations. We don't always get it right. We mess up, and it's okay. But to know ultimately that, hey, they have a relationship with Christ, they love God, they know God, and God knows them. To me, that's success. And to know that I'll be able to see them again, when this life is over.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, mine is sort of along the lines of what Tasha is saying. I mean, I had a health scare this past year, and I didn't know how it wasn't looking good, at one point. So I kind of like have a total, uh, total different, or kind of like a total outlook on life in regards to definitely not sweating so much of small stuff, and for me to make me feel like, and how I felt at that time, like, my God, did I do what all that you would have had me to do while I'm here? So I guess the feeling of not I have arrived, because we'll never get to that, but the feeling of that I'm doing what God would have me to do and affecting each life that He would have me to affect, as well as sharing and then of course sharing the word of God, showing, giving them, my testimony. you know um I'm not a person who gets on a, will try to, or I really don't like being in the spotlight. I really don't. I may seem like that a lot, but I'm not that. But I'd rather have intimate conversations with people to let them know what God has brought me through. And so I would like to make sure that I fulfilled what God would have had me to do and affected each life around me, or to feel like I'm on that path. That would be um, success for me, feeling like I'm on that path of what God would have had me to do, or would have me to do in this hour, in this time. And that is, it's not about me.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
See? That was really good. Yay! We made it! Yay! Yes! We did it! We did it! Um, I know
What
that's how
about
y'all
you,
feel.
Mike? What's
Yeah.
yours?
I
What's
got a
yours?
question.
What
I
about
got some questions for you.
Yeah,
what?
let's do that, Tasha.
Okay.
Let's turn the table. Let's turn the
Okay.
tables on him. You can go first.
Okay, well, I remember in high school, there was a group, like it was you, I want to say, what was the guy name? Like a singing group or something. You guys were singing. Do
Yeah.
you guys,
John Brooks.
yeah,
John
and
Brooks. Yeah.
Alvin, somebody? Yeah, you guys were
Jeffrey Alvin.
singing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you guys ever get together, or where you are now as far as music?
Well, well. John was like my best, one of my closest friends. He passed away some years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Um, he died. He had a heart attack, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sorry.
Um, and Jeff, I haven't spoken to him in a while. I went to Florida to visit probably about 3 years ago, 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and I talked to him on the phone. He was in Jacksonville at that time. He was living in Jacksonville at that time. Shout out to Jeff Alvin. And I didn't get a chance to like link up with him, but
Mhm.
uh, but we did talk on the phone. But to answer your question, um, we don't really speak. We don't really speak that often. Not there's no beef, nothing like that. It's just just life. Life takes you in different directions, and so
Right.
and that's really how it ended up. But
Mhm.
musically, I went on. I did an R&B album after that, in like 2000, like 2009, I think.
Mhm.
And then I went and I did a gospel album in 2011, called God Is. And since then I've just been writing and helping out groups and singers, and of course singing on my local assembly, singing on the praise team in my local assembly. Um, but nothing really out there. I just I still continue to do it because it's a love of mine, and I really believe that that's what I'm purposed to do.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm still doing music, but just not in the mainstream.
Okay.
Okay, so my question is, we had a conversation the other day about
Yeah.
men in regards to their communication level, them communicating with other men, and women, we get together, we have retreats, we talk amongst ourselves, we confide in each other, we encourage each other. And so
Hmm.
are you planning on in the future maybe doing a podcast with a panel of men basically discussing mental health, issues that men or that we as women don't think men normally talk about, and that's why so many men as well as younger men fall into traps because they're not communicating and learning from the other men. So are you planning on doing anything, because you are a good communicator, and so do you have other people
Thank.
that you can probably pull on to make that happen?
Um, that's a good question. Actually, on May 14th, um, I will
Mm-hmm.
be I will be doing a panel show, a male panel show.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my brother Chris Payne. And shout out to my brother Mario Lee. Shout out to my brother Ibraki McKnight. Shout out to my cousin Jimmy Buntley. These are the people that are going to be on that panel show, and we're going to do some barbershop talk, and we're going to talk about all those different aspects or whatever, because I think that, like, to your point, I think that as men we kind of get a bad rap because we are not openly expressive to women per se, but we actually are expressive, but we just do it in a different way, and we do it in different places, and we relate in different ways. And so I can't expect you to I can't expect you to always know where I'm coming from because you're not a man. So the way I express myself, at certain points it may go right over your head, and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. And the same goes for you. Like, you may express something to me in a certain moment, and it may just go right over my head, and I don't even realize what just happened. So the point is, the most important aspect is to be able to communication, the being able to communicate in an effective way. Tasha was saying that, she's 20 plus. She's 20 plus years in. And I'm sure that she's still learning. She's still
Yeah.
learning things about her husband, and vice versa, because we don't, and that's because we don't process information in the same way. We don't express information in the same way. And so we have to find that medium where what I say might not be clear to outside people, but to
Mhm.
my wife, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. But that comes with time. It's almost like there's an inside joke that only you guys know. You know what I'm saying? And that
Mhm.
but then that takes time. You know what I mean? And it takes effort, and it takes a desire to be that. I hope I
Mhm.
answered your question, but yeah, I
No,
plan
not
on.
completely.
Oh,
Well, you
tell me
did
what
because
the.
you plan on you have something planned, so that's a good thing. So you did
Yeah,
answer that.
yeah.
But I was more so talking about the angle of men communicating with other men. Like, for example, what do you think about the Vincent, I believe it's Vincent Jackson situation? I think he was an NFL player or something.
Hmm.
And,
Well,
a lot of the commentary on that of, where was this person? Where was that person? And in regards to guys, it appears to the outside that guys talk around stuff and don't really share their issues. Not a lot, not every guy. Like, I think you're an exception to the rule and probably who you communicate with, but on average it doesn't seem like, and I've seen this. This is what I've seen, that men really talk to men and hone in on, what's really going on with them and their actual feelings. It's one thing to talk about, being relatable and talking about different things, but when you're really having issues
I
or
think
when
it's
you're
on.
really trying to move through life. What about now? Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Uh-huh. What else?
Okay.
I'm not really. I heard about the Vincent Jackson situation, but I'm not really. I didn't really do the research to really find out the comings and goings of it, so I don't really know specifically what the situation is. But my opinion on that is that anytime it's a challenge just being expressive as a man. But then
Mm-hmm.
you add the aspect of notoriety, money, and fame, and that
Mm-hmm.
and that pressure grows exponentially. So now, so now, not only am I a man dealing with my feelings and my hurts and things that things that I'm concerned about. Now I got the added pressure of not knowing exactly who to trust, not knowing who's hanging around me because of what I can do for them or what I can give to them. So that adds a definitely a added aspect to it as well. So you know that's why I advocate for therapy, mental health therapy for anybody and everybody, so that these things can be cut down on, because it's got to be tough when you feel like you're in a fishbowl. You know what I'm saying? You have more money than you've ever had in your entire life. Most of the
Mm-hmm.
time, most of these guys come from situations where there's not much money. You know what I'm saying? There's no wealth, and they're literally there for what they were able to. They're at the point where they're at because of what they can do,
Mm-hmm.
and they've never been taught financial literacy. Again, they're dealing with more money than they've ever seen in their entire life, and you're asking them to somehow snap their fingers and be financially responsible, mentally healthy, and effective on whatever field they're supposed to be playing on. Not to mention you're dealing with family issues, and you know what I'm saying. You're dealing with kids and wives and girlfriends and all these different things, and so it got to be tough. It has to be tough. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I mean, I know that I have things that I deal with as personally, but when you add that extra stuff to it,
And
what can you
we
say?
all do. Yeah, and we all do, and I don't know all the details or all the specifics about that, but that's a conversation and different things that I've seen on social media that's going on and different things, and then it just made me think about that, that aspect of it, and just stuff that people I know deal with, as
Hmm.
young men and men. And it's like, it's gotta be more interaction where people feel more comfortable to share with what they're going through and to actually get help. And for us, for as an African American woman, it's coming easy. It's easier for us now, I believe, because we're rolling into it. And even with me working in social services, it's like you can see how someone's mental health, a mother's mental health especially, can affect the entire family and send it into turmoil, you know.
Hmm.
And then of
Hmm.
course the man who's supposed to be the head, and we want them to be the head, and just the pressures that go along with that. So like I said, no disrespect to that gentleman's family. I don't know all the details. I just sympathize with the situation. Whereas in I was seeing words, and you're asking what could be done, who knew what or who knew this. But then the other aspect of that is you can't make anyone get help for any issue that they're having,
Hmm.
unless you get them Baker Act. And you can't always do that. And then for us trying to get somebody Baker Act, that could mean death. That's a whole nother conversation. So I was just
It's
wondering, I think your platform is good for opening up conversations such as that.
absolutely. I appreciate that. I think that um, with gender roles, sometimes it can be confusing because the women want men to be more expressive, but then in certain aspects, I feel like it's held against them in certain aspects.
Mm.
Like if I think I kind of gave you the analogy the other day. It's like if I if I don't talk, then I'm a bad communicator. But if I tell you
Mhm.
everything that I'm dealing with, then I'm too sensitive or I'm weak or what I'm saying, undesirable, whatever the term is. You know what I'm saying? It can be really tough. You want to share, but you can't share too much because you don't want to be looked at in a certain light, and it can be tough. Like I said, with especially with how the gender roles are received in culture. Like you just said, the man's supposed to be the head of the house and he's supposed to take care of his business and provide and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But, when does he get to be when does he
Mm.
get to be regular? When does he
Right.
get to say when does he get to say I'm sad, I'm sick, um my feelings are hurt, my heart is broken?
Can't
When
be
do we get to
received well.
yeah, when do we get to do that? You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we're expected to go, 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 do, provide, 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 produce, produce, produce. But when do we get the opportunity to just kind of sit back and be like, I'm tired. Um, you know what I'm saying? I'm depressed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When and where do I get that?
Mm.
Because in theory, my wife is looking at me. She has expectations. My kids have expectations. Everybody that's attached to me has some type of expectations. My parents, sometimes if you're taking care of your parents or whatever, they have expectations of you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes if you are the responsible one, the successful one, your whole family is looking at you, having expectations of you. And so it's like, what do you do? When do you get a chance? When do I get to be Mike? And do
That's
and
good stuff, Mike.
you know,
That's
when do I
that's
get to be
good.
Mike?
To me, those are some good points, but I think ultimately, we all human, and we know when we need to take a time out or a break. And it's like we know ourselves. I mean, I can speak for me. I get in my car, I ride. I like to, just do a scenic route or something like that. That helps me. So just having that me or personal time, and maybe having someone like, guys talk to guys. So just having that maybe male figure, or spiritual leader, or whatever, that male mentor, just having somebody to keep you account, someone you can be accountable to, and also, I guess, vulnerable or open up to at the same time, without appearing, like you weak, or
Yeah.
I think with society there is a lot of pressure with these roles and things of that nature, but it's like, well, who's defining these roles? Are we looking at what society say, or are we looking at what God say? So we have to figure out, okay, who's defining this role, or whose definition of this role am I concerned, or with living by?
I think that in these a lot of speaking in relationship, I think that we don't we don't take enough time to sit down and be honest with one another before we make the commitment of like getting married and stuff like that. We don't. I don't tell you enough about my bills or my credit. You don't
Mm-hmm.
tell me enough about your bills or your credit. You don't tell me enough about um your hurts or your past, or what's your expectations of me as a husband, or what's your expectations of me as a wife. And so we're so in love that we're just ready to just make that commitment and we go. And then 2 3 years down the road we realize that, excuse me, we 3 2 or 3 years down the road we realize that there are things that we never talked about, and now they're manifesting themselves and we don't know how to necessarily deal with them. And then too, race plays a role in it too, because as black people we're always taught, what happens in the house stays in the house. Don't tell everybody your business. Don't da 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 da. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? If it's funny, like you could, I wish there was a way that I could tell you my business without you knowing my business. You know what I'm saying? But that's what comes with
Yeah.
it, being that being
Yeah.
vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
that just doesn't fit in the in that
Wow.
in that cultural dynamic. Like you just got to really find somebody that's willing to hear you and
Mhm.
receive all your baggage, and vice versa, and not judge you, and you guys grow together and build together and heal together. And you know what I'm saying, as opposed to giving a version of ourselves, an appealing version of ourselves,
Mhm.
in order
Yeah.
to keep the attention of the person that we're trying to be with. Like we're always putting our best foot forward. We're
Mhm.
always smelling good. We always got a haircut or our hair done. We always dressed a certain way. Our car is always clean. But that's
Yeah.
just not realistic. Sometimes, I don't get a haircut. Sometimes I don't take a shower. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. But that's really what it is. It's just being comfortable with being vulnerable with one another, and I think that's really what it boils down to. Especially, but when you add on all the expectations or the perceived expectations, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it. So I don't
Any
know.
more questions for Mike,
Anybody got any
Tasha?
more questions for me?
You just done
That
took over your little show. Well, not little show, big show,
Mhm. Well,
big
that was
show.
good. That was good, Tasha. And I think what you're doing, of course, is great. I thank you, for inviting me on, because I'm like, I don't even know what we're gonna talk about. So for the most part, if it's gonna uplift somebody and encourage somebody, then of course it's well worth it. And to see what your plans are to do with the men and having that panel, that would be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
on May 7th, I'm going to have some young ladies on, three young ladies, and we're going to talk about beauty. We're going to talk about what is beauty. What are the things that makes people consider beauty? What controls beauty? Like how much control do I have over your beauty? And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about myself per se, but I'm talking about
Mhm.
men. How much control do men have over women's choices about what's beautiful and what's not? You know what I'm saying? Like what influence you? What's influence? What are the influences of beauty? I guess you could say. So it's going
Mhm.
to be 1 week with the women, 1 week with the men, and then I plan on going on and doing more things like what we're doing right now, more like panel type interviews where we talk about different things like that too. So yeah, I definitely
Well,
have that in mind.
I
Mhm.
look forward to hearing and seeing what God is going to do through your life. I really do.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I I didn't know what to expect, but then again I didn't really have any expectations. I knew it was gonna be I knew it was gonna be good. I knew it was gonna be good. I didn't have any worries at all. At all. I wasn't nervous at all. But I thank you guys for coming on, and I thank you guys for being so honest and transparent and everything that we've talked about. Um, Even though you guys held back about the crushes and whatnot, I get it. I understand. I'll let y'all have that. But again, I'm very appreciative, and I hope that you will afford me the opportunity to have you guys on again in the near future. That would be absolutely awesome. Um, Other than that, is there any last words that you guys wanna leave um, with everybody that's watching?
Well, I just want to encourage people. If we didn't learn anything from 2008 when the market crashed, and of course with now COVID, it's definitely time to get your house in order. And I'm not talking about just financially, definitely spiritually, mentally. You know, it's the time. If there's ever been a time, now it's the time.
Yeah. Myself, as far as in financial literacy, learning as much as you can so that you can leave an inheritance, that you don't leave, people in bad situations, and so that you don't put yourself in bad situations in the future.
Yeah.
As far as in the event, please register, go to Tasha's page or to, what is it? What is the name of it, Tasha? It's not, the name of it is Be Blessed Ministries. I was about
It's
to say a
B.
time of refreshing
Yeah,
to
it's
register.
Be Forever Blessed Ministries at gmail.com is where you can register to attend the A Time of Refreshing Mother's Day brunch and celebration. It's free and it's open to moms.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you know what? I forgot. That's what I usually do. Thank you, Tasha. If
Mhm.
if somebody wants to get in touch with you,
Mhm.
maybe ask you, get some advice, or ask questions about maybe this interview or something that you've expressed in this interview, how can people get in touch with you guys?
You go first.
Well, email is fine. They can email me at the same email, Be Forever Blessed Ministries at gmail.com, or they can hit me up on Facebook. Um, I have my event planning page, which is Tarsha's Wedding and Event Planning. And then me personally, Tarsha Givens, I have a personal page. They can message me.
Okay. Same thing for me. Facebook page, Tasha Curry. My email is tasha.dcurry99 at gmail.com. If you want to set up a financial needs analysis, pretty much gives you a breakdown, and we get your budget and all types of information from you to give you a big snapshot of what you're looking at as far as in the future and different products that you may want to look into in regards to investing and long term as well as insurance. So I'm not licensed yet, so I do have another young lady who would be able to assist you directly in regards to things like that. But certainly hit me up on email or anything that has to do with um, any events that are coming up. We'll be posting them on the page, and we hope that everybody supports it. We really want to make a difference in Putnam County and surrounding areas, and share the word of God. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, I thank you guys, and I really appreciate you, and I wish blessings on everything, every movement, every bit of education, everything with your families and everything. I wish blessings on everything that you have going on. And again, what I'm saying, I look forward to having you guys back on in the near future to kind of just catch up. Um, that's all I got.
Well, thank you again. This was fun.
Thank you.
See, I told y'all. I told y'all it's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. All right.
So
So,
next,
like,
oh, before you
tell
leave,
everybody.
one other thing. Before you
Mhm.
leave,
Okay.
could you please invite a young lady, Danette Dallas Johnson, on? Great woman of God, great woman of God. She's a little shy, but when I tell you,
Wow.
she is, a great person that you need to have on. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. You know why.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh, that's a fact. Danette, we looking for you. We looking for you. You make sure you guys make sure you mess with her and um, tell her that she needs to come on the show and stop ducking.
She
Um,
really is. She's a good one.
wow. Okay. Well, again, I thank you guys. I appreciate you. I had a blast tonight. You guys are awesome. And like I said, I had never had any doubt that it was going to be any less than what it is. So thank you again for just being, you know, coming on and for the consideration and just coming on and being great guests. All
Thank
right. Well,
you.
you guys,
Y'all stay encouraged.
you too. You have an awesome weekend, and we will get at you.
All
All
right.
right.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. That was another great episode of Let's Take a Walk. We kind of went over, but it works. It was awesome. My two sisters, Tarsha Givens and Tasha Curry, the Tashas, they are awesome women, awesome servants, awesome, just awesome. And so I really enjoyed the interview, and I hope you did too. I hope that you were able to glean something or learn something from some of the things that were expressed on tonight. They even put me on the spot a little bit. That's never happened before, but it was cool. It was cool. Um, thank you guys for coming on to watch the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you come back next week. I'll be back on next Friday with another awesome guest. And this show right here, you can watch it on YouTube. It was recording on YouTube as well, so you can go to YouTube and type in "Let's Take a Walk" featuring Tarsha Givens and Tasha Curry, and make sure you look at it. Make sure you check it out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button because we're trying to get our subscribers up. Um, Please share it. Share it with people that may not have watched it. You know what I'm saying? Or if there's something that you think you missed, if you came in on the the midway or the tail end of the interview. You want to watch it again, please feel free. Watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on my page, Mike Robinson 11, or you can watch it on my page on Let's Take a Walk 2020. That's the name of the pages, my Facebook pages. I'll be sharing this on Tarsha and Tasha's page, so you can watch it on their page. And that's that. Um, God bless y'all, man, and y'all have a great rest of the weekend, and I'll see y'all next week. All right, let's take a walk.